Hi. Wait, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh no. Um, wait, no. Why is this happening? Can you try talking again? No. Should I try to start the live all over again? I don't know what to do because I can't hear. Can you guys at home hear Natasha? Oh God. Live issues. Hold on. Um, okay. Natasha, the folks at home are saying that they cannot hear you.
Did we do it?
Yes,
We
yes,
did
we did.
it!
We did
Hey!
it.
Hi!
Hi, babe. How are you? You look
I'm
so
good.
cool.
Thank you. So do you. It's
Thank
important.
you. It's really important to look cool these days.
Well, especially it's like if there is no audio, you want to make sure the visual is strong. You
Oh
know?
yeah. I mean, I prefer to be seen and not heard. That's not true. But today we are being,
Hari,
yeah.
where are you? Are you in New York?
No, I'm in Toronto, about to shoot a movie, quarantining. I'm doing like the actress quarantine where you can't leave your hotel room for 2 weeks.
Very sexy.
So no, this is like the most social action I'll get.
I know I was weirdly excited too. I was like, oh, I get to hang out with Hari, talk about things I'm interested in. This is a real boon for my social life, which has been at a zero.
Where are you?
I'm in California, and I think the days bleed into each other. Um, this thing is great.
I know. I watched it last night and I just watched it again, and there is so much to discuss, so much beauty, so much tension, I think. Tension between contrasts and conflicting things, aesthetics and ideas. What are your initial thoughts, feelings? Give us the
I had,
basket.
I mean, I had excitement around that too. I love that phrase of sort of like being a dissident from gender altogether. Like that the whole idea, like philosophically, just that the whole thing is so warped to begin with. There's always like my experience of so many things in this life that it's like already a warped jumping off place, and that we're meant to engage with ideas that are inherently broken and like try to make sense of them in a language that really shouldn't apply to begin with. So I loved seeing something that sort of like addressed that directly, like that we're all just like doing our best within a language that was developed by people who had no idea what they were developing.
Absolutely. I really loved the way Paul Preciado, the theorist who appears in the film, talked about that dissidence you referred to as the monster speaking, like the monster opening up its mouth to speak and maybe saying no, whether you're a woman or a person of color or a trans person. He basically gives you the whole list of identities and sort of groups them all in contrast to a patriarchal imperialist framework, and groups them all together and say that now we are in this moment where the monsters are speaking, the monsters are taking the stage. And I think that there's a lot that complicates that framework when you get into the nitty gritty of everyday life. But I think ideologically, it's a really powerful way of looking at identity. Do you feel like a monster ever?
Yeah, I think like what's most exciting for me about like all the conversations around you know, this moment is sort of almost like just looking back at a life and like being like, oh, these were all like the words in which things that sort of uh, did not make sense to me are beginning. Like, I'm so excited that there's like a new generation that's starting to make sense of things that I think were just really fucking with me my whole life. You know what I mean? Like that I was finding, and it's so much the kind of like sensitive thinking person's problem to, you know, become self-destructive around that stuff because they just don't know where they fit in this world. Like in that sense, I greatly identify with this sort of, you know, if we're sort of using monster as a euphemism for like the patriarchal outsider or something, like the person that just can't jive with the status quo and doesn't know where they fit. And the answer is supposed to be like, you know, disappear yourself and like go into the shadows, you know, make yourself as small as you can be. And now we find ourselves in this very exciting moment where it's like, oh, but no, quite the opposite. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and so that's what I find like, you know, I have great deal of identification with that and like a real sense of optimism and excitement with that.
Me too. What do you make of Silvia Calderone, who's the protagonist and the lead of this film directed by Alessandro and Gus? Like, she's kind of the muse. Watching her on screen, I feel like locked in all of these words, like it created an image. What were some of the things that you thought or felt about watching this very androgynous, striking person move through a scenario we can all relate to at this moment, which is their home in a morning?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that she was so great. Like, I mean, so dynamic on screen. I also want to mention Christopher Doyle shot this, the cinematographer, who's such a legend. And then there's that big Wong Kar Wai Fest that's up on Criterion. And I think that Chris has worked with Gus Van Sant before, and it's also so beautifully directed by Alessandro. And but I'm obsessed with him. So I mean, I just like, I think I was sort of watching him and like, God, this fucking thing looks pretty. Uh, and also Kim Gordon in the does the music and you know, so definitely I also was really having some thoughts of like, oh, that is a great, what a way to wake up in the morning. Why don't I wake up like that? Why am I not like in this like lace onesie just ready to rumble? And I did have nostalgia for like roommates, like living with like musicians in a house and just like immediately being launched into like a day of like philosophy and, you know, memory. Like I feel like my life now is
Right.
so like just a workawholic, like I own drafts, rewrite.
Gender theory at
Yeah.
8:30 a.m. Sure, why not? Feed the fish. Yes.
I like, it really made me nostalgic that like I was like, oh right, I used to really like enjoy things. What happened?
I thought it was I something that I just have to bring up, which gets to, I think, the contrasts and the contradictions that I think Alessandro as a creative director goes towards and doesn't shy away from. You know, over this soundtrack on the television of, you know, Paul Preciado, the gender theorist, talking about disidentification and like classification, you know, classification of gender, sex, you know, representation, creating identities. We watch Sylvia go into the restroom, sit on the toilet, and pee. And then she wipes. And so what the message that we're getting is, you know, on one hand we have like, on the other hand we're essentially like experiencing, you know, I think when you look at Sylvia, you're like, I literally don't know what gender this person is. And that is very typical, I think, of many of Alessandro's models and muses. But then it's essentially showing you that this person has a vagina and like is peeing and wiping, and like that's a part of the film. And so we're confronted with this like cinematic image of, you know, essentially like a sexed body in action with a soundtrack of disidentification from that. What do you make of that contrast for a work of cinema, or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It like, you know, uh, I find it like very relaxing in a way that I think I find um, so many things that I watch really taxing because I feel like I'm just, you know, watching lies about like an existence I don't identify with. Of um, like I like that this is sort of like post gaze, like it's like not
Yeah.
female gaze, male gaze. It's like, uh, you know, it's I don't know somehow like in the point of view of just like I really found myself identifying with that feeling of waking up, like I'm saying, like, and I sort of because you know there was just like enough happening there as a result that was saying like, you know, the to me it was really like this person has like a complex inner life even as they go about mundane things is really the experience I'm having more than even like I know that outwardly, I mean, of course I'm a person in this world theoretically. So I'm aware that like, you know, I'm meant to be having an experience of gender, but more importantly, you know, I'm being reminded of like, you know, Fassbinder, like Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, and, you know, sort of like that it feels sort of like in that spirit, what that was actually trying to be in a way, you know what I mean? Or that in, you know, like an excitement around that, that there is a movie for that, or even like, you know, like it's a little bit like Juliet of the Spirits, kind of like walking around a house, kind of like, you know, trying to figure out like the wig of the day. I think I really, you know what I mean? Like this sort of,
Hashtag the wig of the day.
yeah, like what am I going, how am I going to kind of outwardly articulate this kind of inner experience that I'm having today is really what I took from it.
Well, I feel like The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant is a really amazing reference to bring up for Overture to Something That Never Ended, because, or at least this episode's at home, because Petra von Kant, The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, it's all about interiors and surfaces and the way the outside constitutes or attempts and fails to constitute the inside. And I think fashion is the bridge, and fashion is often the thing and can be used cinematically to kind of get at these things. And obviously we are here today to talk about fashion, and we are talking about a fashion film. And I found it, I found those surfaces and like the luxury of it all kind of clanging up against what was happening thematically, but in a way that was exciting to me. And I feel as though Alessandro makes clothes that in many ways are gendered. You know, he's not doing like kind of a boxy black, like gender neutral thing. Like there are dresses and there are men's suits and there are purses. But what he does is he puts them on unexpected people, even unexpected genders. Dresses on men, or like on the most masculine woman you can find. You know, if you watch his shows, the gowns are always on like the most like square jawed, like, and like I think Sylvia sort of lives up to that casting. And I found it really interesting that after she's listened to this like stump speech from Paul Preciado on the TV about like, you know, breaking down the barriers, she marches into the other room and puts on an evening gown.
I think Harry Styles wore this suit recently in Vogue.
Oh, oh.
But
Harry Styles, I know Harry Styles hype is here.
I don't, you know, listen, I obviously this is a different generation than me, my friend. I don't even know what Harry Styles means, but I know that it means I think I'm wearing a boy's suit or he's wearing a girl's suit, and I know it's terrific that I don't know the difference.
I'm wearing a men's sweater, but for my little post I wore like nastiest, sluttiest little velvet thing with my boobs out. And I love that, you know, at Gucci, I can do both and
Someone's asking
abide
if
by
it's
them.
my hat or my hair. So I think it's important that they know it's a little bit of both. It's where the two worlds meet. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously what's so powerful about this is that, you know, traditionally we're kind of told that you have to sort of really fit in this certain kind of category. Otherwise, you're sort of obsolete, right? So to have a major, you know, fashion house that is, you know, just like one of the most coveted brands in the world, basically be saying like, you know, hey, this is sort of like who we're making clothes for in this sort of point of view, you know, is very exciting. I mean, just if you think about sort of the, you know, the history and the power of aesthetics and sort of how we think it's our job to conform to kind of what we see on a billboard, like there's so much kind of, you know, heartbreak that can be born out of that. And, you know, conversely, so much sort of power that can be, you know, born out of sort of seeing a reflection of, you know, that the power or the sentiment is really in, you know, being yourself or in exploration, or that, you know, this is like, you know, a philosophy brand. It's fucking pretty great. I mean, it makes me feel very relieved, like when, you know, and it makes it seem like it's not, yeah, like so much of the history of fashion is about like, if you can conform to exactly this, boy, are you going to fit into this dress well, you know?
Right.
And really, I mean, this is the inverse of that in just the greatest way, because also like, you know, everybody looks so fucking cool.
Yeah,
So
and I think taking it off the runway and putting it in a film is more of a fertile area for these ideas to live, because a runway show can be fabulous and it can inspire and it can be like performance art, but no matter how you slice it, like it's basically a moving catalog of things that you can buy in 6 months. And these films showcase the collection, but the space that they take, you know, the moments of just watching somebody move through a day, you know, where it's not about just like showing the clothes and it's more about showing an experience and interiority, the unspeakables of somebody's life. I think that gets closer to the core of what Alessandro talks about season after season, which can even, I think, sometimes get overshadowed by the clothes because the clothes are so fab and everybody wants them. But I think with this film, and I'm so excited to see how it plays out, you really get a sense of his dedication for who's moving in the clothes and who's wearing the clothes and why they're wearing the clothes, and steering it away from just the clothes itself. I mean, there's that moment where she throws the dress out of the window. She throws, like, goodbye, dress.
yeah, well, this this is the stuff of life, Hari. Yeah. You know, these are exciting times. I mean, it's really terrific to also see how everybody, you know, responds to making things in this moment. And,
Yeah.
but I really loved this thing. I did think that Sylvia was just great. I mean, and like Gus is so great. I mean, he really like knows how to capture that, just like that feeling of the self-examination of youth. It really did make me very nostalgic, I have to say,
Yeah.
for like another, I mean, obviously this is Italy, but like another New York, another life. Um, just like reading philosophy all day and listening to music, and you know.
Do you live full
Um,
time in LA now, or are you going to come back to New York?
no, I'll be back soon.
Okay.
Um, when are you coming back?
I wrap up this movie right before Christmas, so I will be back for Christmas, I think. I would do you want to hang out when you get
Yeah, I think that that's probably a good idea.
I think that's a good one. I
Yeah,
think that's
Fassbender Fest in honor of this.
I got that Criterion Channel subscription queued up for you, baby. I got a popcorn maker too. I got an actual popcorn maker.
I love you, Hari.
I love you too. Thanks for shooting it with me today. Everybody tune in for the series Overture to Something That Never Happened. All the info on the Gucci page. Upcoming episodes starring Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, my personal Judy, Jeremy O'Harris, and
Jeremy.
some, yeah, we love Jeremy. And they're also doing another series featuring young designers, up and comers, including one of my new faves in New York, Colin Estrada. I think that one goes up today or soon. Shout out to Gucci. Shout out to Natasha Lyonne, a New York legend and one of my favorite actresses, television makers, personalities, icons, legends. And I think I think it's time to say goodbye.
Bye, Hari. Bye, everybody.
Bye. I
Thank
love
you.
you.
Love you. Bye.